Welcome to the all-new Hoop Nova, your ultimate source for everything basketball.
The Lakers sale just became one of the craziest NBA stories ever. The Lakers sale is turning into one of the craziest off-court stories in NBA history. And honestly, it sounds like something Hollywood would turn into a movie. We're watching this unfold in real time, and the deeper you look, the more unbelievable it gets. Mark Walter bought the Lakers, but just 9 months later, he's already trying to sell the team. The reason is that he's reportedly facing a massive financial problem and a government investigation involving billions of dollars in loans. He needs to raise an enormous amount of cash, reportedly somewhere in the $10 to $15 billion range, and he's scrambling to figure out where that money is going to come from. Things became even more serious when federal investigators reportedly searched his private jet and seized electronic devices, including phones and a laptop. But here's the important part. Investigators aren't simply trying to determine whether Walter made questionable loans. He has already acknowledged that he made loans and says he intends to repay them. The bigger question is whether he intentionally concealed those transactions. Here's where the story gets complicated. Walter owns insurance companies, businesses that collect premiums and invest that money in assets such as stocks, bonds, and loans. Normally, that's how the business works. But what happens when the owner of an insurance company starts using that money to make loans to companies connected to himself? That's known as a related party transaction, and regulators place limits on how much money can be involved because of the risks. According to reports, the allowed amount was around 10%, while Walter's companies allegedly reached roughly 40%. The story reportedly began with a much smaller number. Walter disclosed around $1.4 billion in related loans, and regulators approved that arrangement. That money was used to help purchase the Dodgers back in 2012, but over the years, the borrowing allegedly expanded dramatically. A whistleblower eventually raised concerns with authorities, prompting questions about how much Walter had actually borrowed. The answer was reportedly shocking, around $20 billion, and that money helped fuel the growth of an enormous sports empire. Walter became associated with the Dodgers, the Sparks, European soccer, women's hockey, Formula One, and eventually the Lakers. His willingness to spend helped create one of the most aggressive sports ownership portfolios in the world. The biggest question now isn't simply whether the loans existed. It's whether Walter intentionally structured or concealed them in a way that misled investors or regulators. Reports have even alleged the use of hundreds of companies to disguise the transactions. That's why the investigation matters so much. If the money was improperly moved through companies that ordinary customers and investors depended on, the potential consequences could go far beyond sports. The concern is that excessive related party lending can put other people's money at risk if those investments fail. Meanwhile, Walter has continued operating like one of the most powerful owners in American sports. He recently brought the Dodgers to the White House after their World Series victory and presented President Donald Trump with a championship ring. But the financial pressure hasn't disappeared. Even after the Lakers sale, reports indicate Walter could still need billions more. He's reportedly considering selling other major assets, including Chelsea and his Formula One interests. The Dodgers, however, are believed to be the asset he wants to hold on to most. He's also reportedly seeking new financing and offering high interest rates along with valuable assets as collateral. So while the Lakers sale might look like the end of the story, it could actually be the beginning of an even bigger one. And just when you think this situation couldn't get more complicated, there's another dramatic development involving the Buss family and the Lakers' ownership structure. Reports indicate the Buss family has sold its remaining stake in the franchise, adding another layer to an already unbelievable NBA ownership saga. The Lakers' ownership battle is getting ugly. Lakers' ownership situation just got even more dramatic because Jeanie Buss may no longer be able to remain the controlling owner under the new ownership group. That appears to have sent her into fight mode. Her lawyer reportedly sent a letter disputing an ESPN report that the 6 Buss siblings had voted to sell their remaining stake and remove Jeanie from control. The letter also accused 2 of her siblings of repeatedly leaking damaging information about the family to the media. If those reports are accurate, this isn't just a business decision anymore. It's a full-blown family power struggle. Jeanie appears determined to remain involved with the Lakers, while her 5 siblings reportedly see an opportunity to cash out at a massive valuation. The Lakers are being valued at roughly $12.5 billion, and from their perspective, this could be the perfect time to sell. But Jeanie's relationship with the franchise is completely different. The Lakers aren't simply another investment to her. Running the team has been a huge part of her identity and her life. Her siblings, however, have already moved on from the organization. Several of them previously worked for the Lakers, but Jeanie eventually fired them. Jim and Jeanie Buss were removed from basketball and strategic roles in 2017, while 2 younger brothers who worked in scouting and the G League were reportedly fired last year. That history obviously makes the current situation even more complicated. From their perspective, they may simply be thinking, "We've been offered billions. Why not take the money and move on?" And there's another major problem for Jeanie. Even if she remains involved after the sale, it's unclear whether she would actually have the same power. Bob Iger has reportedly wanted to become an NBA owner for years, and the new ownership structure could completely change who controls the Lakers. Iger has expressed respect for Jeanie and said there was an intention to honor the agreement between her and Mark Walter, but he also acknowledged that circumstances can change. That doesn't exactly sound like a guarantee that Jeanie will remain in charge forever. And honestly, many Lakers fans appear ready for a new era. Jeanie inherited control after her father, Dr. Jeanie Buss, passed away. Under him, the Lakers became one of the greatest dynasties in sports, winning multiple championships during the Showtime era and later adding more titles with Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. But the years since have been far more frustrating for fans. Critics have accused Jeanie of relying too heavily on personal relationships when making basketball decisions, including bringing in longtime advisors and people connected to the Buss family's inner circle. Now, the possibility of a sale represents something much bigger than a business transaction. It could mark the end of the Buss family's decades-long control of the Lakers. Jeanie may believe she's protecting the franchise, while her siblings may believe they're simply making the smartest financial decision available. Either way, this family battle could become one of the biggest ownership dramas the NBA has ever seen.